Welcome back to another fun episode of Tiger Bytes, the podcast where we feature cutting edge practices and online learning from all across Auburn's campus. Today we have with us Alli Bracewell. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, according to your bio, you served as the Student Success Coordinator for the Auburn First Dual Enrollment Program from its inception until 2023. When was its inception?
It started in 2019, so
Okay,
it was like the rebrand and relaunch of the Auburn First program.
gotcha. And it says since 2018, you've served as the success coordinator for the online Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration program. That's commonly known as the Completer program, I
It
guess.
is. It's our degree completion program in business administration, so non-traditional student population.
And so that would be somebody that started an Auburn degree and then life got in the way and they had to
Tip,
stop.
right. Typically, yes, the students have been at Auburn in the past,
Hmm.
and whether it was a financial situation or family emergency, whatever the
Right,
case may
right.
be, they were not able to finish their degree, and this just gives them the opportunity to come back, or even transfer students. If a student
Okay.
gets an associate's degree from a 2-year
Hmm.
school, or even has associate credits, they can transfer those and finish it up through the BSBA program.
So how many students roughly a year go through that program?
We haven't quite gotten over 100 students that are
Mm.
actively enrolled. Typically, we fall a little below the 100 students that are enrolled each semester. So
So they're able to get a lot of personal attention
they
then, I
are
assume.
absolutely, yes, which is kind of a key aspect of my
Hmm.
role.
Great. So when did you start at Auburn and what did you do before you got here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am originally from a small town in North Alabama, from Arab, Alabama.
Mm.
And I grew up playing sports. Sports was a big part of my life, and just something that I was very passionate about. So I played basketball through high school
Okay.
and was recruited to play at Auburn.
Oh,
So
okay.
came to Auburn as an undergraduate student,
Was
and
this under Joe Champy?
it was not. He recruited me a little bit
Okay.
early on in my younger years, and I played under Nell Fortner. Nell
Okay.
Fortner was the head coach at that time that recruited me. So played here for 4
Hmm.
years, graduated with a degree in early childhood education. Left Auburn. I played a year of professional basketball in Europe
Mm.
just for one season, so that was a neat opportunity. Came back to Auburn. I feel like all roads always
Mm.
lead back to Auburn. And I joined Student Athlete Support Services as a graduate assistant. So had the opportunity to work with student athletes in an academic setting, and got my master's in administration of higher education, and then transitioned to a full-time role on the Auburn women's basketball staff for about 5 years before the opportunity came up as the student success coordinator with Auburn Online.
Okay.
That was in about 2018. I think at that time they had maybe 3 employees
Mm.
as part of that Auburn
Wow.
Online team, and of course that's been neat to see how that's grown
Right.
over the
Tremendously.
years. Yes.
So if the WNBA would have been around back then, would you have been a contender to make a roster?
Yeah, well, the WNBA was around. I wasn't quite, I'll just say I wasn't quite good enough
Okay.
to be in the WNBA. But, the size and speed of some of those girls are
Mm.
just, are up there. So, but usually people have opportunities in Europe. So
Right.
that was a neat option for me to be able to do since I wasn't able to make a WNBA roster.
Great. Well, not great that you couldn't make
No,
the
that's
roster,
okay.
but
Yeah, it was still a great
great
experience.
explanation of
Yeah.
your very interesting history. And like you
Yeah,
said, it sounds like all roads lead to Auburn eventually.
absolutely. Yes, for sure.
So, how has your approach to online advising evolved over the years? You've been doing this for a number of years now.
I have, yes. So I started with the Auburn First Dual Enrollment Program in 2019, the online BSBA program around the same time. And I think one of the big benefits is those programs started very small. I was working with them from the ground up. And so it kind of gave me an opportunity to figure out what my advising approach was and to give a lot of personalized
Hmm.
attention to the students. And so I think that's a key piece for online students to be able to for them to have a point of contact specific to them. So they're not on campus and they have someone that they can reach out to, whether it's academic related or not, to help them
Right, because they can feel
navigate it.
kind of isolated.
Absolutely, yes. So just having that point person that they can reach out to for anything, I think, is key. And then I also think I have a very proactive advising
Mm,
approach, just to stay on top of these students, send out reminders and updates, and just proactively monitor their progress, to intervene before it's too late. That before they have an F on their transcript,
right.
just to reach out to them before then.
How did things change for you during COVID?
I would say, these programs were before COVID, and I think my philosophy was kind of the same through
Hmm.
all of it. I think pre-COVID, during COVID, after COVID, a lot of, my approach kind of remained the same, just to provide that personalized touch as much as possible, and then just to proactively stay on top of them. I also think a key part is developing a good rapport with the faculty,
Mm.
and being able for them to be comfortable to reach out to me if a student is falling behind, and that's just another layer of support from the faculty.
What's your experience interacting with faculty? At least the stereotype is that we can be kind of, I don't know, difficult.
Yeah, I would love your outlook on that.
Well, I don't think
But
I'm
no,
difficult,
I
but
think I have had a positive experience, and we do a lot of like professional development days and like
hmm,
luncheons where I'm able to interact with the faculty, and I think they appreciate my role.
yeah,
And to me, my goal is to kind of alleviate some of the burden that sometimes students can have on the faculty as far as
right.
like constantly reaching out. And so, they can say, hey, this list of students, these 5 students are falling behind. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. And then I take it from there. I can call the student or shoot them a message and just kind of
Right.
figure out what's going on, and update the faculty. And I think they appreciate that.
What sort of technologies or platforms have you found most helpful in facilitating effective online advising? So, video conferencing,
Yeah,
emails.
absolutely. I think a lot of the technologies that I use are pretty standard for advisors across
Hmm.
campus. We've got Advise Assist, where you're able to log your Zoom meetings or your Teams meetings with your students. But I do think definitely on the front end to have a mandatory advising meeting, and get some face-to-face action with the student on the front end, and then just being able to log that in Advise Assist. I know most colleges across campus, their advisors use that. One tool that we use, that I've used over the past year, is a tool called Observe Ed, and it is integrated with Canvas. And the online degree completer program uses it, and a few other units across campus that serve non-traditional students. And it allows you, so if I'm as an advisor log into Canvas, it's going to show this Observe Ed instance as a course. I can click on it and I can upload all of my students that I
Hmm.
oversee, and it pulls all of their Canvas information. So you've got their courses, their syllabi, and it just adds that extra layer of
Does
support
it
and
show you
proactive.
how much time they've
It
spent?
does. It shows a lot of the analytics.
Hmm.
You can set, grade thresholds. If a student drops below a certain grade, there's a flag on the student and you can pull a report based on that. So just a very proactive way, kind of like I've already talked about, makes my life even easier to proactively support these students and kind of track where they are. So that's been a really neat tool.
Something I've wondered about for a long time. Folks like us, we grew up, well, you would have grown up. I got it later in life, email.
Right? Yeah.
Students today, they don't really like email.
They don't. Yeah.
And they sort of do email with people like us because they have to.
Right.
Do you think we're going to, and I hope the answer is no, but do you think we're going to reach a point where we're texting with our students?
Yeah, that's a tough one, and I hope not to, because I prefer email, and I always tell students,
Yeah.
get in the habit of checking your Auburn email. That's our main form of communication. Um, I hope not on the text messaging thing. I will say Advise Assist that I mentioned, there is a way to push out text messages to
I was
students
wondering about
where
that.
it's not an
Yeah.
interactive, back and forth. It's
Right.
just like a generic general message that goes, yeah, a
Notification. Yeah.
notification to their cell phone. So I think that's huge,
I'd like to
but
see more of that.
yeah.
One-way notifications.
Mhm.
Remember, you got an assignment due Saturday.
Yes, for sure. And then even that Observe Ed tool, it's a way you can push out. Of course, that would probably, it goes to the email. So, but you
Mm,
can still push out a message that's coming from, Observe Ed, that kind of just hitting them with information as much as you can. I feel like you can't over communicate to an online student population, or probably just any student population.
right. So, what kind of things do you do to help students? You've talked about this a little bit, but I have a feeling there's more there. How do you help the online students feel connected to the Auburn community despite the distance?
Yeah, I think, that's probably the $1 million question and challenge, to make these students feel connected since they're not here. We have a key thing that we do is we have an online student orientation course, and the Auburn Online team built this course, and it just gives students the opportunity to navigate Canvas
Mm-hmm.
before they start their classes, and the orientation looks just like the courses that they're going to be in, but they're able to kind of click through. They can practice uploading assignments, video submissions, and just gives them more details about the university, about their program, online study tips and strategies. So I think that's a key way, that orientation, to
Mm,
help students feel connected on the front end. And then we also, another kind of innovative way to bring them to campus is, Heyday is a tradition for all
right.
online or for undergraduate students. And a couple of times over the years, we have mailed name tags to our online students. Roland has helped us
Mm,
set up some iPads on campus, and our students can join in. They've got their name tags on just to kind
right.
of be a part of that,
Yeah.
and be able to say, hey, even if they're on there for 30 seconds, just to be able to say, hey, and kind of see the concourse. So that's kind of an innovative way,
Mm-hmm.
just that we've done that. So I think a couple of those things required Zoom meetings, again, where we're face to
Right.
face. I think some of those things are key, and those personalized touches.
You send them stickers or any of that kind of swag
Yeah,
stuff?
sometimes we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. T-shirts, stickers, notepads, different things like that all
Mm.
along, I think is important. Also, just any little thing to
Oh, yeah.
help them feel connected. And everyone loves a
Yeah.
free T-shirt,
Of
right?
course. Those little things go a long way.
Absolutely.
What unique strengths do non-traditional students bring to their educational experience?
I think this would be specific to the online BSBA students. We talked about how a lot of these students, their degree didn't pan out the first time.
Right.
And so, for whatever reason, they are having to come back. And so, I think these students almost have a chip on their shoulder,
Mm.
in a good way, though. They're motivated. They've got something to prove.
It's not going to happen again.
Right, yeah, and they want to, whether it's a personal achievement or a career advancement, whatever the case may be. I think that, they may have their back against the wall a little bit, and they've got that chip on their shoulder in a good way, and are a little extra motivated to get that Auburn degree.
And they're going to be older. They're going to
Yeah,
have more life experience to bring to the course concepts.
absolutely. Yeah, I would say for our online degree completer program, the age range is anywhere from a 22-year-old
Mm-hmm.
to a 50-year-old. So
That
it's
old, huh?
it is yeah, it's a broad range of students that I work with. So, but I enjoy that.
Mm-hmm. Having worked with both the Auburn First dual enrollment program and the online BSBA, what insights can you share about the transition from dual enrollment to full undergraduate studies?
So I think I'm a big advocate for the Auburn First Dual Enrollment Program. Of course, I'm biased because I've
Right,
worked with it since its inception and
right.
through the years. But I just think there's a lot of advantages to it, and I feel like for the Auburn First program, you've kind of got two buckets of students. You've got the highly motivated, high achievers that aren't going to need much support, and then you've got the other bucket of students that maybe didn't even want to do it. Their parents kind of
Mm,
encouraged them to do it, or maybe even forced them to do it. But I think for both of those students, taking Auburn University courses while they're still in high school gives them a huge advantage coming into Auburn as an undergraduate student, because these are Auburn University courses. It's Auburn University faculty teaching them. So I think it gives those high achievers even more confidence
Right.
that, hey, I can do this and I can be successful. And they're able to knock out coursework. The courses are offered at a discounted rate, so saving your parents, a lot of money compared to the tuition costs as an undergraduate student. So I think just the Auburn First program is to the student's advantage.
Is there a maximum number of credits they can earn before they get to us?
They can complete 24 credit hours, which is a pretty
And
pretty
maybe AP exams
Yes,
too.
absolutely. Yeah, that would not factor into that. So
Yeah.
yeah, you could do your AP credit and you could do the 24 credit hours of Auburn First or just any dual enrollment courses, and you've knocked out a good chunk of your coursework ahead of time.
So you could potentially just be here 3 years if you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a lot of cost savings
Oh,
with
yeah.
that flat rate for parents.
So, what has been your most rewarding experience as a success coordinator at Auburn?
I would say I'm passionate about working with students and having that personalized, relationship with them, just for to be that point of contact for them, just to be able to help them, for to have someone in their corner. So that's definitely rewarding, on a daily basis. I would say some of these online BSBA students that, like we've talked about, they have their backs against the wall and they are trying to earn a degree and maybe their GPA wasn't near their Auburn GPA wasn't near where it should be or where you would want it to be, and they just kind of have to dig themselves up. And so I've had several students that, and one in particular just this past year, that gradually every single semester pulled his GPA up, and graduated. Not quite with honors, close to graduating with honors, but still an incredible turnaround. And then he's actually applied for the online MBA program
Oh,
and has been
nice.
accepted for
Yeah.
that. So I would say that, and again, that's one student. There are other similar stories, but I would say that's a very rewarding experience, not only for him, but even for me, encouraging him along the way.
Is there any situations that stand out along the lines of something like, golly, this person had so much stacked against them and they managed to get through this anyway?
Yeah, absolutely. That student in
Mm-hmm.
particular, the odds were definitely stacked against him because, when students are admitted to our program, we're taking their transfer GPA and their Auburn GPA.
Mm.
So, say they tried to pull up their GPA at a transfer institution, they come in and their Auburn GPA could be rock bottom. So, so they really do have to pull themselves up
Right.
and boost that GPA. And so those situations are pretty incredible to
Mm.
to see students, turn things around.
Do you get cards or anything like, thank you so much for all the support you gave me along the way?
I do actually,
Yeah.
yeah. I think students are appreciative of having a student success coordinator and someone devoted to them. And I hope and think that they feel the passion that I have and I almost want to will them to success.
Mm.
I can't do it for them, but at
Right.
least provide the resources and the support along the way. And, I've got students that may be, in a bad place, or they, whatever their life circumstances are, they're struggling, and just to have encouragement and, just to be able to kind of reconvene and say, well, let's adjust your plan of study, let's scale back, let's cater to what you
Mm-hmm.
need in this moment. I think they appreciate and they value, and I think it's needed, especially for non-traditional students.
What's one innovation or change you'd like to implement to further enhance the online student experience at Auburn? So you've got the magic
I
wand.
know, yeah, that's a good one. I think so. We have a lot of graduate level online programs at Auburn, and so I think at the graduate level we do a great job of hosting in-person events or in-person opportunities. And I think that we could do a better job. We have limited undergraduate programs, and maybe do a better job of coming together and offering in-person
Mm.
opportunities, even inviting students for a tailgate. And this
Right.
could be done. But I think that giving those students an opportunity on the front end to maybe mingle and just see campus, I think
Mm-hmm.
the online MBA program, I believe, does the Camp Harbert,
Right.
where students are able to come to campus and just be immersed in the Auburn culture for a couple of days. before they turn, back fully to an
Mhm.
online student. So just little things like that, I think could be an innovative way to help our undergraduate students feel a little bit more connected.
Nice. What do you think's coming down the pike in terms of your job, next 5 years? Will there be dramatic changes or?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like online learning is constantly growing and evolving. I would love to see, enrollment grow in some of our online undergraduate programs. I know that the graduate level, the enrollment is pretty high. So I think, maybe marketing and getting
Mhm.
more students at the undergraduate level in a couple of these programs could be good. Um, and then even advancing some of our student success coordinators,
Mhm.
like kind of making that a more common trend just because, like I've mentioned, I do think it's a very important role.
Right. Um, where does artificial intelligence fit into what you're doing? And do you try to, prevent students from relying on it to complete assignments, or is that the faculty's role?
Yeah, I will say I have not had too many conversations with students about AI specifically.
Yet.
Definitely, yeah, definitely if it comes up, there's definitely a fine line of using it in a smart way,
Right,
like to
right.
benefit you and but not to cheat the system in any way. A couple of things that we've done to leverage AI, and we've not implemented this yet, but to implement AI tutors. There's a couple of resources out there that we've reached out to kind of get more information about having an AI tutor for these students.
Hmm.
We've some of these upper level courses can be challenging and may not be included in our academic support on campus. So just to maybe incorporate that at some point is an option that we've talked about.
Cool. What was your free throw percentage as a basketball player?
My free throw percentage was not as high as I would have liked for it to be. I would say close to about 80%. So I was a
Oh,
pretty,
that's
yeah,
that's
I
real
was a good free throw
that's real
shooter,
good.
but I feel like I could have been even better, like a better free throw shooter. So
Well, everybody misses some,
that's
right?
right,
But
absolutely.
yeah, 80%, that's really
Yeah,
good.
thank you.
Well, Allie, thank you for being here, and we appreciate everything you're doing for Auburn students and for your time today.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Tiger Bytes. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained some valuable insights. Please like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues. You can find us on all major platforms and keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you next time on Tiger Bytes.